We bought this house here in rural Andalusia in July 2025 for €87,000, but that wasn't the real cost. Many of the viewers have asked me to give a complete breakdown of what it truly costs to buy a house like this and renovate it. So in today's video, I'm going to go through not just the purchase cost, I'm going to go through the getting in costs, which include taxation, registration, legal fees, and of course, I will break down the renovation costs. So let's jump into it. Okay, so before we get too caught up in facts and figures of what we've actually spent on this property, let me give you a quick background on why we even bought this property in the first place. Now, we bought this in July last year, July 2025, and the whole purpose of buying this house was to basically top up our pension fund. Myself and my wife, we do own another property around 6 hours from here, further up the coast, and that is the property that we will retire to. However, for the last 10 years, we've been renting an apartment in the Marbella area, and it just felt like dead money. So in order to be able to top up our pension fund, we thought instead of just keep spending money on rent, let's buy something that we can invest into, hopefully improve the value, and then in a year, 2, 3 years time, sell this, take that money, and that will fund our retirement. So that's basically the background of why we did it. Now, why did we choose this particular area? Well, currently my wife works in Gibraltar, which is around 30 minutes, 35, 40 minutes from here to the Gibraltar border. We also wanted to have a house that was quite close to the beach. And this particular property, you can get to the closest beach is around 20, 25 minutes away. So that was another reason. Another big reason as well is why we chose inland was that the prices now on the coast are just too expensive. At this time in our life, at this age, we didn't want to be investing $500,000 or more into a property. So that was another reason. And then a last reason was that I've been here in Spain for 20 odd years, 21 years, and I truly feel now that there is a massive demand for inland properties. You know, many locals can't afford to be buying on the coast. And that is so true to the point that here in this village where we bought, we have such a mix of not only locals, but there's Americans, Australians, Belgian, German, a lot of people from the Nordic countries, and of course, English. So that was our reasoning for buying it. Okay, guys, stick around because before we get into the numbers, I kind of figured that the numbers are not going to mean much to you if you can't see what your money actually buys. So I thought let's do a quick run through the house. That way you get a visual idea of exactly what we've bought, where the money's gone, and then we can come back to the numbers because I know that's the bit that you all want to know. And I think you're going to be surprised. Okay, so you enter the property into this entrance hall or reception hall, whichever you want to call it. But this is one of the things that really sort of drew me to this property when we started viewing it. I just felt that the entrance in really was somewhere, I don't know, it felt kind of spacious, and I just found it a beautiful entrance into this kind of home. Okay, next is the guest room. Now in this room, we didn't have to really do too much. We completely redecorated floor to ceiling, but this actual room pretty much is as it was. We've changed fixtures like light fittings. We've changed all the doors throughout the whole property because the doors that were in here were absolutely hideous. They were metal pretty much throughout the whole property. But yeah, this is the guest room. Okay, from the guest room, we pass through this arch into, I'm not really sure what you would call it, but it's kind of like the second entrance hall, if you like. So let's trot through to there. So here's the second entrance hall, and we didn't do a huge amount in here. Again, you've got to bear in mind, we have decorated through the whole property, and we've done a lot more in this house, but I don't want to bore you too much with exactly every little detail we've done. But anyway, this is the second part of the entrance. Next up is the kitchen. We had a full refit in the kitchen. We also had new plumbing. We had the kitchen rewired. So this room actually cost us quite a bit, but we're super pleased with the kitchen. We've got somewhere where we can sit and eat breakfast, and everything's just brand new in here. So yeah, we're really pleased with the kitchen, but obviously kitchens aren't cheap. So that was probably the most expensive part of the renovation. Now, of course, the bathroom. Now, regarding the bathroom, this was a hideous bathroom when we got it. To be honest with you, this was probably less hideous than the kitchen, but it was still hideous. But we wanted to keep a very sort of Spanish aesthetic with the property, and we felt we'd achieved that with the bathroom. But in here, some of the additional work that we had to do was we had to completely replumb the whole bathroom. That needed doing. There was literally the plumbing in here was prehistoric, to the point where most of the waste was just actually soaking into the ground and being gravity fed into sewerage. So that was completely replumbed in here, and then new electrics and all that good stuff. Okay, so let's head up this flight of stairs, and that will take us up to the dining area. Okay, so as I just said, this is our dining area. It's a really nice room, this, and we really like the way that this area up here is kind of an entertaining area, because through that door there goes into the lounge, and then directly behind me is the access to the roof terrace. So it kind of flows nice, this area up here. But anyway, that's the dining room. Then we've got the lounge. This room was actually a bedroom initially. When we bought the house, it was a 3-bedroom house, but we decided we didn't need 3 bedrooms. So we actually stole one of the bedrooms, which was this room, and converted this into a lounge. And then finally, the master bedroom. And I'm not really sure if the camera does this room justice, but this room is absolutely huge. So as a master bedroom, it really fits the bill. And then finally, the roof terrace, somewhere where we can sit out and, you know, have a glass of wine or your coffee in the morning. So that's the property. So was the expectation the same as the reality of buying a 200-year-old property here in rural Andalusia? Well, I'm pleased to say it was. When we bought this house, we had a very clear vision of what we wanted to do. And we also had a budget that we'd set aside. Now, this is something that I know is often hard to believe, but we managed to stay within our budget. I know when I look at programs on television or, you know, other YouTube channels where they're taking on projects like this, we can easily see people's budgets explode, but that didn't happen with us. So what did we do? A quick run through. Well, basically, this house was extremely outdated. Nothing had been touched for decades and decades, maybe in some areas, even up to 50 years. But we replumbed the bathroom because there simply wasn't any plumbing. We put in a new bathroom, we ripped out the old kitchen, replumbed the kitchen, put a brand new kitchen in, we rewired the kitchen. We've changed a lot of the flooring throughout the property, because a lot of the flooring had like these mottled tiles, and we wanted the flooring to kind of be uniform and run throughout. We've completely waterproofed the terrace, retiled the terrace, redone the terrace, and of course we've furnished the whole house. But let's get into the numbers. Okay, so you've seen the house, so let's get on to the numbers, because I know that's the bit that you're mainly going to be interested in. So what I'm going to do is, I've got an Excel sheet here on my phone. I'm going to pop this sheet up on the screen now so you can see the exact numbers that I'm looking at as well. Okay, so the actual purchase and getting in cost for a property like this. As you can see, the purchase price for this house that was agreed was €87,000. Now, when we viewed the property, the owner wanted 97, but we managed to get them down to 87. So that was a great start for us. Then we had the transfer tax. Now, in Spain, when you buy a house, you have to pay a transfer tax. And here in Andalusia, as an example, that typically ranges between 6 to 10% of the purchase price. On this particular house, I think it worked out 5.8, 5.9%. So that come in at €5,200. Next, we had the notary fees, which are basically the fees that you pay for an official to watch you actually buy the property. That come to €1,500. Then we had land registry, which is the property registration on the local registry, for €300. Then legal fees came in at $3,600. Now, I'm going to be honest, we paid a lot in legal fees, but you can typically get legal representation for around half of that amount. And then we had a survey fee. So we had the bank come and check this property, and they charged us €304 to do that. So our total getting in price to purchase this house was €97,904. Next, we've got the renovation costs. Now, the list for this, the original list that I had, was quite long, so I've kind of tried to simplify it. But as you can see here, we've got the heating and the cooling price there. We've got plumbing, electrical, windows, doors, floors, kitchen, bathroom, labour, etc., etc., and the license. And the total renovation cost for this particular property came out at €19,500. €582. Now, it is important to point out that even though we did have obviously tradesmen in, you know, we had electricians, I had a builder here, I'd done as much of the work as I possibly could on my own on this property, which helped keep costs down a lot. So do bear that in mind. And then finally, we've got the furnishing and interior costs, which came to €10,090. So for this whole property, it stood us in around 127, 128,000 euros, which is absolutely tremendous value. When you consider 20 minutes down the road, say in Sottogrande, you wouldn't even be able to buy a garage for that. Now, one of the other things that I do need to emphasize is that, first of all, as I said, I've done a lot of the work myself, but also as well, language. I fortunately speak Spanish, so I'm able to work with local tradesmen. If you don't speak the language and you're considering buying a property like this, then you could see your budget rise extensively, just purely because you're going to pay a premium maybe to have English speaking tradesmen in. So that is something else. And then the other thing that you simply can't put a price on is the amount of effort it actually takes in doing something like this. You know, I quit my job so I could focus on working on this house. You don't see the late nights, the early mornings, and the frustration and the planning and all the coordination, getting everybody together, and even simple things like trying to get materials into the middle of a village like this. But I'm really hoping those figures have opened your eyes up of what it's possible to get for such little money here in this beautiful area of Spain. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you can reward my honesty with the numbers and all the information I provided today by simply hitting that subscribe button, hitting the like button, hitting the hype button, and leaving a comment, it would mean so much. Anyway, enjoy whatever you're doing for the rest of the day, and I'll catch you in the next one.